after 10 years of homeschooling, I've learned a few things. Some of the things are things that I wish I had known before we started. Some of them are things that I had heard, but I didn't believe before we started or in our early years. So today I'm going to share some of those things with you. Now, before I get started, I would love to know something that you wish you had known or believed, if you had heard it, before you started homeschooling. Leave it down in the comments. If you are new here, welcome. I am Tricia and I am a homeschooling mom to 3 kids. Just finished our 10th year. My children, this will be going into 10th grade, 6th grade, and 4th grade. So welcome. Number 1, play is great and essential. When my daughter was, she's my oldest, when she was going into kindergarten, I felt a lot of pressure. Looking back on it, mostly me, self-imposed, but I felt a lot of pressure to prove myself as a homeschooling parent. I wanted to prove that I could educate her as well as she could be educated in the schools. And as a result, we didn't do as much play as we should have. When my second one came around, time to be with school, had him and his brother who were 2 years apart. And they just kind of were a unit. And so naturally play just happened more as he came along, as he came into school age. And I realized how much he learned just from play. And it's definitely one of my biggest regrets with my daughter of not embracing play more when she was young. As we've gotten older, I've embraced it, ironically, I've embraced it more. And I definitely try to incorporate more fun into our days now and more hands-on learning, that sort of thing, than I did when they were younger and I was too focused on bookwork. Number 2, fit their interests into what they enjoy. I thought I was doing interest-led learning. Not always, but I thought a lot of what we were doing was interest-led. Looking back on it, it wasn't so much. It was me saying, oh, let's learn about such and such, which is great because it was things that they liked, but I wasn't following their lead. I was choosing things that they liked and going with it, which is fantastic. I don't regret that. I just wish that I had let be more their guidance on what we did. So, as we have gotten older, my daughter this year, with high school now, it's a little bit harder in some ways. In some ways it was easier. She loves, for history, she hates studying ancient times, but she loves modern. So last year for world history, we just did a 20th century world history course that I put together. Fantastic. This year she'll be doing American history. And I know some of the things she likes time periods more than others, so we'll kind of incorporate a little more focus here and there than on other parts. It can get more difficult as they get older, but it doesn't have to be. You can still fit what they like into their courses. Number 3, your homeschool is yours alone. You don't have to do anyone else's homeschool. I started homeschooling before the rise of social media, which I'm very thankful for. I love social media. You guys know I love my Facebook and I enjoy being on Instagram, all of those things. But it definitely creates a different sense of pressure because you see what others want you to see, and it can be really tempting to think that that's what your homeschool should look like. Your homeschool should look like what your homeschool looks like, no one else's. But that can be really tough to believe, and I don't say it dismissively because I understand. Even after all these years of homeschooling, sometimes I still feel that pressure to do someone else's homeschool. But the sooner you can embrace your homeschool to be what your homeschool looks like, the better off it's going to be for everyone. Number 4, audiobooks are underrated. When we first started homeschooling, I don't know, we didn't really do audiobooks, and I don't know why. And then as my daughter got older, we would do them sometimes for fun, and she would do them at night before bed, but I didn't really embrace them as part of our school day because, well, part of the reason why, because I fell into this notion, you used to hear people talk about, that homeschoolers are supposed to love to read. Well, my oldest didn't love to read. She still doesn't love to read by sitting down and visually reading. She does love audiobooks. She loves listening that way. But I didn't embrace that because I felt like that's cheating. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. So, yeah, audiobooks are underrated. Embrace them, especially if you have a child who has any kind of learning struggles. They can be a fantastic resource. She's in high school. She's expected to do a lot more reading. And some of that reading is going to be through audiobook. It's just going to be that way. And I don't regret that. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. There was a time I was embarrassed to say that. But I'm not. And even for kids who don't have any kind of struggles, audiobooks in the car, audiobooks, podcasts, anything like that is a fantastic thing to enjoy together and to improve vocabulary and such, because they can listen to and comprehend stories way beyond what they can actually read. And so they're developing all kinds of comprehension and vocabulary skills that they wouldn't if they were strictly reading with their eyes. Laughter really can be the best medicine. When you have a day where tensions are high and tears are being shed and people are frustrated and such, sometimes the very best thing you can do is find a reason to laugh. And when you don't feel like it, that's probably a good clue that you need to find a reason to laugh. There's that saying that kids who are the most unlovable can be the kids who need love the most. Well, I feel that way about laughter. The moments when you resist it the most are sometimes the ones that you just need to do it, to find a reason to relax and reclaim those relationships. I am a firm believer that in the laughter, the memories are made. And I try to make sure that our days have laughter. I try to do it, I hope for it to happen organically. I don't want to be forcing it, but sometimes it has to be done. So, whatever kind of icebreaker we need to have in order to break that tension and enjoy the laughter, that's what we'll do. Over planning is a real thing, and so is under planning. And so is planning in a way that doesn't work for your homeschool. There are so many planning systems out there, and there are so many different ways to plan. But going back to doing the homeschool your way, you've got to learn to plan your way too. If you are kind of the type A, has to have everything down type of way, doing something like planning on a day-by-day basis, or at the end of the day writing down what you did, is not going to be something that's going to work for you. On the other hand, if you are someone who is more kind of go with the flow, then having everything planned out for every day of the school year before your school year begins is probably not going to work for you. You're probably going to end up feeling boxed in and overwhelmed by everything. So, you've got to find out what works for you. Over planning can be really bad, under planning can be really bad, and using the wrong system, whatever that looks like for you, can be a real struggle as well. So tweak around, figure it out, and then embrace whatever planning works for you and not what others tell you that you should do. Next tip, shelve it. When you're really frustrated with a curriculum or your student really is, sometimes the very best thing you can do is put it on the shelf and come back to it in a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe more like 3 or 4 months. But shelving it can sometimes just be the very best thing for you. When we started cursive with my daughter, she struggled. I was frustrated. She was frustrated, crying. And I said, no, we're not going to do this. So I put it on the shelf, came back to it about 3 months later. She had no difficulty with it. We didn't do anything different. We didn't change curriculum. All we did was wait a few more months. Sometimes that can really be the best thing. Sometimes it's a maturity thing. They just need to either emotionally mature or something develop with their fine motor skills or that sort of thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of that things have gotten so filled with tension that nobody's learning or teaching well, and so that break can be the best thing for you. I resisted it a lot when they were young because I felt like, no, we got to push through, we got to cross off the boxes, we got to get it done. If I let you not do it now, then it's just, I'm letting you win. What in the world is that? Like, life, and especially homeschooling, is not about who's winning or losing. We're experiencing life together and learning together. I don't want to create that. I don't want to create tension where there doesn't need to be. There's going to be plenty of times, especially as your kids get older, where they have to do something that they really don't want to do. So save it until then. Don't create it early on. So yeah, shelve it. Next one. It's really okay not to be X kind of homeschooler. A homeschooler who embraces read alouds, a homeschooler who, a unit study homeschooler, a Waldorf homeschooler, an unschooler, a whatever. You don't have to be that type of homeschooler. You really do not. Your homeschool is not going to be any better or worse off for you not being that way. Now, that's not to say that sometimes we don't need to push ourselves a little bit outside of what our comfort zone would be. You all know I am not a project person. I don't like doing projects. But I believe they're good, and I believe that they can be really beneficial to our homeschool. So, finding ways to do that without it being an overwhelmed thing that I end up hating and avoid doing because I don't want to do it is kind of always this balance. I have to, for history, for social story of the world, my goal is to do about one thing a month. Now, that is not every week, or every chapter, like some people try to do. It's not going to work for me. So, that'll be that. This year for science, I'm putting together a science curriculum all around the national parks. Well, I wanted to include art, but again, that's not something that I have a lot of skills at, and it's something that I tend to avoid. My daughter offered to come up with art projects and do it for the boys. Perfect. I can give her some art hours towards her credit, and my boys will get the art, and I don't have to push myself in that boundary, and I can save my energy to doing things like other projects for history. So embrace who you are. Try to push yourself a little bit to do those things that you resist if it's something that you think is beneficial for your homeschool. If you don't think it's beneficial at all, then by all means, don't do it. Next one, like a recipe, you can always add more to your homeschool, but it's a lot harder to take stuff out. If you have your days filled with full school days, and then you have activities every night, and you reach a point where you're burning out and you need to get rid of something, well, what do you get rid of? Because most likely everything you are doing are things that you think are beneficial. So how do you choose what to get rid of? Whereas if you have a little more relaxed to your day and you start out with maybe one activity per child, and then you find that you can handle more, well then it's easy to add to it. But it really is a lot harder to take things away from your day. Don't burn yourself out. You don't have to do everything. It really is okay to be choosy and selective on what you fill your homeschool days with. As you're looking ahead to the next school year, you want to click on the playlist that's on your screen right now to help you prepare for that new school year. Thanks for watching.